Mr Morrison, are you comfortable with forecasts that say the budget will never return to surplus under current conditions, and also that the deficits are 48 billion worse than forecast?
Well, the government will release my EFO next month. After the national accounts, and that's where the government will confirm its position on the budget, and I'll leave that process to really answer the question. I think what the Deloitte report shows today is the stresses and pressures that are on the budget. They note particularly in terms of the global situation, commodity prices, changes in China. That's not new to anyone. Australians are very aware of the global volatility that's out there. The Australians are very aware that our economy is going through a transition from the investment phase of the mining boom to the phase that we're now in, and we will see the further lift in non-mining activity in this country. We're certainly seeing that from a demand point of view already, which the Reserve Bank Governor has noted. That hasn't flowed through to the investment side of the non-mining sector yet, and that's something I think we have to look forward to. But Australians are not naive to those challenges. That's why I think they've been very welcoming of the government's focus on what we need to do to grow the economy and grow jobs. That's why we're having a discussion about the tax system. That's why we're having a discussion about federation. That's why there'll be an innovation statement. That's why we're responding to the Harper report by ensuring we're focused on microeconomic reforms. That's why we responded to the financial systems inquiry with the great strength that we did. All of these things provide a strong platform for growth and jobs. Australians know that's what we have to focus on. That's why it is bemusing to me why the opposition would go into a job-crunching, economy-munching carbon tax on steroids to meet a 45% target. I mean, it is really quite reckless.
So if the national accounts echoes what Deloitte Access Economics has said today, and we are going to be faced with this financial year an extra $5 billion in deficit, is the government prepared to make further cuts?
I'm going to make you a challenge. Could you get about 8 more assumptions into that question? I mean, seriously, we wait for the figures to come in, we make assessments on them, we release a MyEFO, and that's the process. I mean, I don't think the Australians appreciate governments speculating on things and jumping at all of these sorts of points of data. What we do is we look at these things in the normal process, we make our assessment of the budget position, we don't respond to matters of speculation around particular numbers, and that's the way you appropriately manage the government's finances. Phil.
Can we assume at this stage, given what's been stated in the 7 recent weeks and so forth, that the growth figures in the budget, the forward-looking growth figures, are going to be downgraded in my?
Well, that will be, the growth figures will be presented in my EFO. But I think what you've seen from Nigel Ray's presentation is there's been a change to one of the key pieces of information that goes into the growth forecasts. That wasn't a growth forecast itself. What Nigel's presentation talked about from Treasury was the rate of growth, which is called potential rate of growth, at which full employment is maintained. Now that is a key factor that goes into the forecasting model and the projections model, and there has been a change to that based largely around the changes in population growth and immigration and net overseas migration. So, you know, the numbers move around on those sorts of things, and that changes how they put their model together. But I want to stress this. What you will get from me as Treasurer, what you'll get from the Prime Minister, what you'll get from this government is a very honest and sober view about where we're heading, but an optimistic view which is based on realism. You won't hear me making ambitious targets around these issues on when we return the budget to surplus. What we will do is the work that is needed to be done every day to return the budget to surplus. And the projections of that will be subject to many variables, some of which go well beyond the government's control. Previous governments have stood there hairy-chested at the dispatch box and promised 4 years of surpluses. And Treasurer Swan, as a result, looked quite foolish. I'm not going to go down that path. I'm just going to go on about the work of restoring the budget, of working to see savings measures passed through the Senate, working to ensure that our budget lives within its means, and if you do that and you grow the economy, you end up in the right place.
Tomorrow, foreign investors will be hit by big fees, even before FIRB considers any applications. For instance, $10 million farm, $100,000 fee. Are you comfortable with the fees that are going to be imposed from tomorrow?
Yes, I am.
Why is that?
Because it's government policy, and I think it reflects, I think, where the Australian people would want us to be making these sorts of assessments and ensuring that we have the resources to apply the proper scrutiny to the foreign investment proposals that come before us. I mean, we are custodians of these decisions, and these resources that are being raised from these fees are ensuring that we have the resources in FIRB and the Australian Taxation Office and other places to ensure that we follow through on implementation. I mean, what's the point of having a law if you don't enforce it? That's what was happening under Labor, particularly when it came to residential real estate. They were just allowing things to go off unchecked. Now, we're not doing that. We're applying the law. And that's what I think gives Australians confidence, whether it's on our borders or whether it's in foreign investment or wherever it is. You enforce the laws, and I think when you do that, Australians can have a much greater level of confidence about the decisions the government is taking when it comes to foreign investment. Now, there was quite a shout after when. I'll allow one more. David.
Childcare.
Yeah.
It's going into Parliament this week, the childcare package. Is it so important for families that you would legislate it, even if you don't get the savings on family tax benefits, which is still stuck?
We've made it very clear that we pay for our commitments, that you don't run a budget by just announcing more spending and proceeding with the spending without making the saves. And I think it was Jenny Macklin who said these things have to be paid for somehow. Well, we have our somehow bill before the Parliament, and you don't get to have your cake and eat it when it comes to important government services. You have to be able to pay for them. We have a clear plan and a clear set of measures that will pay for one of the biggest changes to childcare access and affordability that the country has seen in a very long time. It has to be paid for. We've made some adjustments to it based on the feedback we've had and the further discussions we've had with crossbenchers and obviously the opposition when it comes to things around grandparents and single parents and some of the other changes that were made to what the Labor Party was prepared to accept on family tax benefits. But those changes have to be paid for too. And so we've done that by amending the eligibility and the means testing arrangements for access to those rebates. So, as subsidies, I should say. So, you know, we have a package which is paid for. We have a package that is costed. We have a package that is deliverable.
So is it all or nothing?
We pay for our promises, and that's the bottom line.
Do you think the changes will be more palatable for Labor and the crossbench, the changes to reduce subsidies for high-income earners?
You'd have to ask them. That's for them to decide. And what I'm interested in is what is achievable and how we can actually deliver these important increases in affordability of childcare for the vast majority of Australian families who are going to work every day, who want to work more and want to save more, want to invest more, and they are being held back by the unaffordable costs of childcare. Our package delivers on that. But you've got to pay for it. If you don't pay for it, then you end up where the Labor government left us. I mean, if we had kept on their spending trajectory from 12-13, then the budget today would be almost $80 billion worse off than it is now. Now, we've been able to get that under control, and we're correcting. We've got the growth down in expenditure, and we're going to continue to pursue that. But you don't do that by just running off and spending money without being able to pay for it. Just like on issues of emissions reductions targets. We have a clear target going into this conference at 26 to 28%. And the 5-year review, this is all the policy that was agreed prior to the change of Prime Minister. Nothing has changed on that. And that's what's being prosecuted over there. There'll be no changes to the position that is put over in Paris. The opposition has a policy which will bring back a carbon tax with full fury. And that is really the difference between how both sides of politics, I think, are approaching the growth challenge that we have. Whether it's Deloitte's figures or whether it's paying for our promises and commitments on childcare or any of these areas, all of this relies on ensuring growth and jobs in our economy. And that's what we're 100% focused on. Thanks for your time.